Right now we're going to get a check on the top headlines in the international papers with Florence Firmino. Hi there.
Hey, Kat.
You're going to start us off with some headlines about recent events in Iraq. At least 40 people killed and in some suicide attacks recently. We're talking about car bomb attacks in the heart of the capital, Baghdad.
The first of those attacks happened just after midnight on Monday at an ice cream shop in the Croix district. As you can imagine, this is front page news in Iraq. Let's start with the front page of Al Zaman. You can see it here. This is a photo showing an Iraqi police cordoning off the area near where that attack took place. Now, a crowd had gathered at this ice cream shop to break their fast during the first day of Ramadan. Now, the Islamic State group has claimed responsibility for that attack, saying it was targeting gatherings of Shia Muslims. Of course, the Islamic State group is a Sunni jihadist group that considers Shia Muslims apostates to be punished by death.
And these attacks are getting attention outside of Iraq as well. Here in Paris, the Eiffel Tower dimmed in tribute to the victims. And of course, in newspapers, this is being very much talked about and analysed.
It certainly is. If we take a look at the front page of L'Orient Le Jour, which is a Lebanese paper, you can see they're also focusing on the situation there in Iraq. As the holy month of Ramadan starts, ISIS sows the seeds of death in Iraq. Now, the Independent is focusing on this as well. Patrick Cockburn it says that this Ramadan could be even bloodier than previous years. According to his analysis, ISIS and Al-Qaeda are being squeezed in their core territories and so lashing out with terrorist atrocities such as targeting families enjoying ice cream to break their fast.
Let's stay in the Middle East. At the end of March, Saudi Arabian authorities announced that undocumented immigrants there would have to leave the country within 90 days. Those 90 days are very much ticking down.
It's ticking down. It certainly is. About a month to go. You can read about it here in L'Humanité, the communist paper here in France. Saudi Arabia is skimming off immigrant workers left, right, and center. So this announcement came on March 29th. The authorities announced that they were going to kick out 5 million foreign workers. That is quite a lot. As you can imagine, it's actually a fifth of the kingdom's active population. They have to be gone by July 1st. According to L'Humanité, this could provoke a major migration crisis, not only in the region around Saudi Arabia, but here in Europe as well.
Speaking of the migration crisis, France's Catholic newspaper, La Croix, is having another focus on the plight of the people who cross the Mediterranean, risking their lives, as we know.
It's an in-depth report I definitely recommend reading today. If we take a look at the front page of La Croix, you can see after the Mediterranean what becomes of them. This photo was taken in Italy aboard a rescue ship.
It is a very good question, isn't it? Because we see the pictures from the rescues and don't tend to see what happens to people afterwards.
Well, according to La Croix, it's just surviving is just the beginning of the struggle. There's an incredible obstacle course that comes afterwards. There's a really in-depth analysis inside La Croix, which I definitely recommend. Keep in mind that 60,000 migrants have arrived in the European Union since the beginning of 2017. And of course, we know that summer is a period where many more migrants try and make this very dangerous journey across the Mediterranean.
Incredible, those figures of 50,000 of those 60,000 arriving in Italy alone. Let's move on to another story involving Europe, getting a lot of attention in the press today. It's a feud, really, I think we can say, between Washington and Berlin, a feud that's gone up a notch.
It certainly has gone up a notch. You can read all about the details here in the Washington Post. So it all started as Trump sped through meetings in Europe last week and appeared to leave a trail of bruises in his wake. That is what the Washington Post says. Now, after that trip, the German Chancellor Angela Merkel said Europe needed to rely on itself rather than its friends. She later reaffirmed the importance of Germany's ties to the U.S., but it seemed that those comments upset the U.S. president. Very early on Tuesday morning at 6:40 a.m., he tweeted pretty harsh words for Germany. We have a massive trade deficit with Germany, plus they pay far less than they should on NATO and the military. This is very bad for the U.S. This will change. You can see here the Washington Post reporting that German officials are quite perplexed as this feud escalates. And there's an interesting cartoon by Chapat in the New York Times where you can see the U.S. president leaving this trip to Europe, leaving, this meeting in NATO. And you can see the chancellor there saying, I actually prefer when he focuses on America first.
And German papers, what are they saying about this feud?
Well, they're putting it in context because there is, of course, a very important election that's going to take place later this year in Germany. The Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung says that Trump is actually a trump card for the main opposition in Germany, Martin Schulz's Social Democratic Party, using this feud as ammo, essentially playing the anti-American card. It's a risky gamble, though, according to the Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, that could have some tricky results in the future.
Indeed. All right, let's finish with a Belgian news story. A word on the Prime Minister there. Charles Michel has been absent from work. It seems he's had a bit of an unfortunate accident.
You have to take a look at this picture to understand what happened. Essentially, he's been forced to clear his schedule and seek medical treatment after he was a little bit too close to the Princess Astrid at the start of a race. You can see he was startled by the blast and has had ringing ears ever since. So apparently he is expected to be better in about a week's time. Wishing him a speedy recovery, because that looks very painful.
What about the princess? So she's much closer to it than he is.
All right.
She's fine. She's brushing it off. Thanks very much, Flo Filomeno, looking through the international newspaper headlines.